Did you know that there are 4 attributes of a product backlog and 4 attributes of a product backlog item in Scrum? Hi, my name is Anil Jaising. I'm a certified Scrum trainer with Scrum Alliance, and I'm also an adjunct faculty with the NYU graduate program of project management. See, Scrum is a framework to deliver products. You need a goal for the product. What is a goal? A goal is what is the customer going to get when the entire product is delivered. Well, let's say you have a goal. The goal then drives a list of requirements. Where you store the list of requirements, you store it in the product backlog. And each item in the product backlog is called a product backlog item or a PBI. And today I'd like to share a BMW with you. A BMW stands for blank material for writing. If you like to pause the video here and grab your BMW, go ahead and grab it. Once you have it, what I'd like you to do is fold it into half. And then fold it one more time. When you open it up, you will notice 4 cells on one side and then 4 cells on another side. On one of the sides, title the BMW with the words product backlog. Product backlog. Reverse your BMW and then title the words product backlog item, and in parentheses put in PBI, product backlog item, and in parentheses put in PBI. Great. Turn to the side of the product backlog, and as I share 4 attributes of the product backlog, go ahead and write it down on the 4 cells of your BMW. Let's start with the first one. The first one is the product backlog is dynamic. So go ahead and write down the word dynamic. Dynamic is the idea that the product backlog is ever changing. Anybody in the organization can add to the product backlog. The product backlog is transparent. So you as a product owner, product manager, own the product backlog. You can delete items, you can split items, make it smaller, or you can change the order of the items. That's your prerogative, your right to do. And so the idea is that you completely own and are accountable for the product backlog. As a product owner, you're responsible for the why and the what. The product backlog is also emergent. If you know of Netflix, Netflix started as a DVD rental mailing service. That was the first goal for the product. Over time, when market conditions changed, technology changed, Netflix became a video streaming service, and they had both video streaming and DVD rental mailing service together. At some point, they decided to take away the DVD rental mailing service and just focus on video streaming because customers demanded it, technology bandwidth was better, and they decided that this is the future. Well, over time, they wanted to add content, so they had to partner with third-party production houses to bring in more content to Netflix. After a little while, they decided that that is not enough. They need more content. So they created their own production house to have more content. So as you can see, the product itself has emerged over time. For the product to emerge, the requirements or the items in the product backlog need to emerge. And hence, the product backlog is emergent. A third attribute is that it's a single source of anything and everything that needs to be done for the product. I was working for an organization within JP Morgan Chase, and I noticed something interesting. The stakeholders would put blue sky ideas into a spreadsheet. Well, we're going to be doing that someday. The product owner would have features that they would maintain in a separate tool. The technology folks, they were really concerned about a lot of the technology items that they had missed or quality things that they had not taken care of. Well, they would keep a track of that in another spreadsheet. And then the users, we had about 4,000 users for that product, those users would log bugs in a separate system. Now imagine the plight of the product owner trying to prioritize or trying to order all of these items together. Well, the first thing I did as a coach was to bring all of these items into one place and then have the product owner prioritize. That made things really, really easy for the product owner and also very visible for everybody in the organization. It turns out that the product backlog is a single source of features that you might have. You might have user stories if you use user stories in Scrum. You might have technical tasks, and you might have also bugs. Anything and everything that needs to be done for the product resides in the product backlog. And then finally, the product backlog is ordered. You will notice that a good product backlog will have things that are ready. Ready means those are things that are clarified, they are small, they can be taken into the future sprint, they are all estimated. Those things are on the top of the product backlog. Things that need to be still clarified, not completely clear, not completely ready, they are in the middle of the product backlog. And then at the bottom resides blue sky ideas. One day we're going to be doing that. That would reside at the very bottom. Not sometimes the product owner hasn't even seen it because it was added by someone else in the organization. Reverse your BMW, and I'm going to be sharing with you 4 attributes of a product backlog item on the other side. The first attribute is that the product backlog item has details and description. Description is what needs to be done, and the details is all the other information that's required, so it's very clear for the developers to build, test, and deliver that product backlog item. So all the details, potentially the why, potentially the acceptance criteria, you might also have the estimates. All of those would be part of the details. Now, the second attribute of the product backlog is that it is order. Now, how is this different than the fact that the product backlog itself is ordered? Let's say you have 3 items in the product backlog. Each of these items has a relative order to each other. A 4th one comes in. Now the product owner has to decide whether the 4th one will become the first that needs to be done, the 2nd, the 3rd, or stays at the bottom as the 4th item. That really depends on the value that the product owner wants to provide to the customers. Now, the order, as I mentioned, and as you must have guessed, depends on value. What is value? Well, value is the strategic alignment to something that the organization is doing, and the product needs to follow that. Value could be customer value. Value could be something that is valuable to the business. Value could be avoiding some risk. Value could also mean that there is some security issue that's come up that needs to be fixed right away. So all of these things could be of value. And then another attribute that goes into the order is the estimate or the size. The estimate or the size depends on 3 factors: the risk of the work, the complexity of the work, and the effort needed. And so if you have both value and estimate, the product owner can then decide the order of the product backlog item. Take your BMW and go through all of these 8 attributes, and we'll see you next time. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Bye.